What's up, YouTube? Back with another review. This really isn't a review, it's more of a DIY thing. But I'm going to be replacing this old door with a pre-hung finished door. These doors, they sell them at Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, pretty much anywhere you can get home accessories for remodeling. This one's pre-finished, it's painted white, everything's painted, the door jamb, everything's been painted on it. You can buy them not finished and paint them yourself for about $30 cheaper, but by the time you buy supplies like paint brushes, if you need to tape anything off, and just your time, then I would say just go ahead and buy the pre-hung door. The pre-finished door. Anyways, go ahead and get started. All this trim, I'm going to reuse it. It's not the best trim on the bottom. You can't see it on the bottom. Actually, this doesn't line up perfectly, but I can fix a lot of that stuff. But on the bottom, there's a little gap. But yeah, this is just a storage closet. Right when you walk into my house, it's just full of junk. I hung this on there. I'm going to end up putting rubber mats behind this and on top, or like little rubber finishes on this, just so it doesn't scratch up the new door. But first thing I recommend is just removing everything from the closet. All this stuff is going to get full of dust. Once you start removing all this, stuff gets dusty really fast. Yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I do is remove everything from the closet. The second thing I do is use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer and just take the hinges off the door. It just gets the door out of the way. It makes everything more accessible. It's just easier to deal with. Just have that in there and then just remove the hinge. And if it gets stuck, just put it on the head of the hinge and then tap the screwdriver with the hammer. It'll come right out. Oh yeah, by the way, you should press the door closed when you're doing this. Just keeps the door from falling off. Two pins for the hinges. Door comes right off. Always a savage. Oh yeah, by the way, when I do these videos, I probably could have did this earlier. I actually framed this one in. But when I do these videos, I show you exactly step by step. I do not leave anything out. So these are literally like, there's no reason you can't frame a door from watching one of these videos I do, because I literally put everything into it. Next thing I do is start removing the frame. Remove these, the trim on the door. If you plan on using it, be careful, because it's typically not very durable, and some people use big ass nails when they put trim on. But anyways, start doing that. I usually start from the bottom. If you know where nails are at, that's usually the spot you want to start removing, and just do it slowly so you don't damage the trim. If you plan on replacing it, then it's not a big deal. I'm gonna reuse this. Oh yeah, by the way, I just use a small crowbar and a hammer. Just tap it in there and take it out. Or tap it in there and just remove it that way. Something that I did leave out, start on either the top or the bottom or the side, or like one side or the other, and just slowly work your way up the trim so it doesn't break. Again, unless you plan on replacing it all. I don't like cutting trim. Now if there's any nails that slid through the trim, go ahead and clean those up. Either take them out or hammer them all the way in. I typically hammer them all the way in, just makes it easier. Now remove the interior trim. And this trim, typically the stuff, like right now on my outside trim, this entire living room is just built out of cedar panels, cedar trim. But this interior trim, like wood trim or any trim that's typically used, you have to be a little more careful with, because these things break a little easier than just cedar trim wood, just like square 1x6 cedar. Like I said, typically remove everything. I left everything on that shelf and now it's in the way. And typically a safe way to say that to keep your trim from breaking, once you have that little crack underneath the trim in the wall, you can actually just slide this in and barely nudge it all the way up, all the way down, and just repeatedly do it until it comes out. It comes out really smooth and easy. You are going to have a bunch of nails in it that you're going to have to remove later. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's nails in this trim. But they're pretty easy, just hammer them out. After you got all the trim removed, now you're going to remove the entire door frame. Like I said, doing this isn't a hard job. So like a lot of DIY people kind of get in that rut, or kind of get stuck like thinking like, oh, can I actually do the job? Like 99% of the stuff that you hire contractors to do on your house, you can do it yourself. It's actually really simple. And just pay attention to all the little details. All the little details are the things that make the job worth it. And all the little details are the things that piss you off when contractors don't do them. So if you do it yourself, just make sure it's done right. It's actually really simple. Oh, but now we're going to start removing the frame. The frame is actually this. This is the door jamb. Pretty much just get inside of this first piece of wood and just do the same thing you did with the trim. This you don't have to be as careful with because you're not going to reuse it. I will say hang on to it because I actually use these pieces to shim in the door so the new door so it fits better. Usually a door frame, it's just 2x wood, like usually 2x4 wood, and it's let's say you have a 24-inch door. They usually frame that out to like 26 to 28 inches. 28 inches is kind of big, but they frame it in a little. They leave a bigger opening than what your door is actually going to be. You have to shim all that in. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so we have the entire door and door frame removed. It's the same thing as a trim. Just start removing all the nails or hammer them all the way in. I typically just hammer them all the way in. Like I said, it's actually there'll be nails that went through the door jamb and they just stuck into the wood, and just hammer them all the way in. Pretty much all you need is a hammer. Something else I left out. Make sure you measure the door you're taking off before you go and get your new door, because doors are different sizes, obviously, but some people don't know that. Okay, once you have all your nails taken out, the door frame pretty much cleaned up, something that I always preach, it just makes everything easier, is just keep your work area clean. So I'm going to take a minute and just sweep all these nails and any loose piece of wood that broke and fell off. I'm going to sweep all that stuff up right now. Okay, so once you have your work area cleaned up, it doesn't have to be completely like spot clean, spotless. Just clean it up, make sure there's no nails or anything. If you step on a rusty nail, if you ever stepped on a nail, you know how much it sucks. But yeah, once your door frame, everything's cleaned up. By the way, I bought this house, and the people that own this house didn't do the best job of repairing it, or when they did remodeling jobs, they were definitely DIY people that didn't do the best job. They kind of tried to half-ass everything, so I have to work through quite a few of those issues. But yeah, once the door frame's all cleaned up, all the nails are removed, everything's out of the way, time to open the door and start installing the new door. Something that I didn't mention is pay attention to which way your door swings in or out. This one actually swung this way. This one's not a big deal, but if you have like a front door and your couch is right there, you don't want your door swinging open that way. So, or vice versa. If that door matters which way it's swinging, you definitely need to pay attention to that. This one doesn't really matter. This one was kind of weird. If you open the closet door, it swung open, hit this. If you swing it open the other way, it'll just swing open that way. So it's not a big deal either way. Okay, like I said before, remove everything from the closet. I tried to take a shortcut and leave everything on that top shelf, and now it's in the way when I'm trying to install the door. So I went ahead and removed all that stuff, and I'm gonna keep going. Before you start installing that door, make sure this little tab is either open or closed, or make sure you can open that door. Pretty much what I'm saying. I almost got stuck in there. I really stuck. I had to move the fucking door out of the way. If you haven't seen my review on this, make sure you go back and look at that. I'm going to show why this is important. Whoever, like I said before, whoever owned this house, they kind of half-assed some things. This paneling is actually sticking over the door frame, your 2x framing, and they just put this paneling on top of the sheetrock. If I was going to do this myself, I would put maybe like 1x flats throughout or underneath all this paneling so it just hangs better. And they just stuck it on sheetrock. Dumb motherfuckers. So like I said, if you haven't seen my review on the reciprocating saw, or Power Electric Power Tools reciprocating saw. Just go to my channel, check that out. This thing's super handy. I'm gonna cut all this framing out and make it nice and neat so the door frame hangs better, and so I can put that door frame flush to this, and so it just looks better. You know what I mean? When you do a job, just make sure you do it right the first time. My buddy actually taught me how to use power tools. I didn't start using power tools until I was about 24 years old, and he just constantly stressed me, like, if you're gonna do something, just do the job right. Not all this half-ass stuff, man. By the way, wear safety glasses. This thing's badass. Like I said, this thing rotates. I think I paid like 30 bucks for this thing. Anyways, I'm gonna set this blade on its side and just go straight up the wall with it. And if you start getting tired, just take a break. Power tools can be dangerous, but very useful. Just make sure you're using them right. And typically you wouldn't go up, you'd go down. Typically, that's how I would do it. But it's kind of hard to see. I might leave that in. But again, safety glasses. That thing hit me right in the safety glasses. Actually, I am going to leave that in just to stress the importance of safety glasses. That thing really did hit me right in the fucking head. Like, hit me like right in the glasses. Cool. I don't really wear these too often either, but I try to make sure when I'm showing people how to do shit, I try to make sure I do things right and safely. You don't have to use this, but I use a multi-tool with a wood blade just to kind of like notch that little area where I'm going to be cutting out. So then I can stick my reciprocating saw in there easily. By the way, if you haven't seen it already, I've actually done a review on this multi-tool also. This thing's super handy. I think I paid like 20 bucks for this at Harbor Freight. I can't remember off the top of my head. I say so in the review. Check that out. That's on my channel also. If you're ever having to fix someone else's mistakes, just go a little bit. I mean, just cut a little bit and then check the inside. Make sure you're not hitting the framing. Something else I can't stress enough. Make sure you buy a good ladder with that have good grips on the bottom so that shit doesn't slip when you're working on things. This ended up being way more work than I expected, but to be honest, I need to stop expecting things with this house. People that owned it before me, they kind of sucked at life. All right, something else to save a little bit of money. I just reuse stuff that's on the old door. This is actually used to kind of frame in the old door or the new door. These are actually going to go in between here. Like I said, the door frame's typically cut a little larger than what your door is going to be. This is going to go in between on both sides, maybe on top if you need more. But typically I just do 2 on each side, and I do them where the hinges are at, just so it has to go through this board and the hinges. And I do it on this side, just 2 spots anywhere, and I typically do at least 1 or 2 on top. Anyways. A lot of people use nails. I use screws sometimes or nails. It doesn't really matter. They do the same thing. For the most part, nails are stronger, obviously. I'm real big on that work smarter, not harder. If you have a framing nailer, typically I would use a framing nailer, but I'm only going to do about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm going to do 10 to 12 screws into this thing, and the rest of them are just going to be screws from the door hinge itself. I use an extension with a small bit. Not everybody does it this way. Some people just use regular bits. I do this just so this kind of hangs in there like that. Doesn't really do anything. Makes me feel better. By the way, always have a pencil with you so you can mark all this shit. So you can mark where you want to hang your blocks. If you're having troubles with your nails or with your wood splitting, drill your nail in reverse all the way until it goes all the way through. Once it's all the way through, you can then impact it in going forward. And these pieces of wood won't split. No more split wood. What's up, baby? Giving you guys all the goods. Make sure your door is flush with your outside wall, and then your trim's gonna come out over it and cover up any imperfections. And make sure your door frame's not sitting completely on the floor. Maybe have it up like 1/8 of an inch or so. You can use old wood or shims to do that. I'm just gonna use old wood. Like I said, the people before me, they just kind of layered shit on top. They didn't do things right. If I was gonna do it, I would remove all the old shit and do things right the first time. So it's probably a little more than 1/8 inch, but it'll work. I can already tell you right now, I'm gonna need at least those wood blocks on all the sides, on both sides, maybe even the top. Actually, I probably will do the top. Something else you're gonna need when you're framing a door are wood shims. That's these things. They look like this. They're skinnier on one side and wider on the bottom, but you pretty much stick these where your wood blocks are. Pretty much just shim out the door and make sure it ends up, it pretty much, it takes up any little space, any little open space. So you're definitely gonna need these. And I use these. Once you stick that in there, you can actually just do a quick slice on one side and then break them off. You know, I think these go up to 1/4 inch, so I might just use these to shim under the door. Like a glove. Really happy with that. And you're also going to need a level, so if you have a level, go ahead and get that right now. Okay, so what I actually like to do is I leave the door on there. Some people take the door off and just make sure the door is perfectly square. I leave the door on and I take out 2 screws on the top hinge and the bottom hinge, and then I put in longer screws to go all the way through the framing. Saves a little, I don't know if it, actually to me it does save a little bit of time. By the way, typically I like to do the top hinges first, just so it keeps the bottom. Once you put a bottom one in, then it kind of still swings, but if you put the top one in, it doesn't really swing too much. The shitty thing about drilling through the frame is that you're gonna have to go back and use wood filler, fill that in, and then paint those little spots over. Screws, make sure your screws are long enough to go through everything. If not, they're not gripping on the shit and your door's not gonna last. One last thing I didn't mention, make sure your framing is a perfect 90. I guess make sure it's a 90 degrees, 0 degrees, or 90 degrees. This I already checked. I should have shown that on video. This one's almost perfect. And then once you have this lined up, you pretty much just do the rest for all of them. I'm not going to show that. I'm just going to go through it fast. Guess I'm not going to go through it real fast. Once you have like your little practice nails in, you can actually make sure the door opens and shuts. As long as it opens and shuts smoothly, then you should be good. But if everything's a 90, if both your sides are a 90 and your top's at 0 degrees, then just use a level. I keep saying 90, but just use a level. If you don't know how to use a level, look up a video. I might even show a video on how to use one. Actually, they're super easy to use. But I just have a basic level. I have bigger levels, but you don't need it for this shit. If you're screwing through MDF, to make sure it doesn't crack or break, I think it's called MDF. It's like that cheap fucking wood that Walmart furniture is made out of. Like, not real wood, it's like hard fucking cardboard or something. I don't know. But if you're screwing through that, you're having trouble reverse drilling through the wood, just drill in a tiny bit, like maybe like 1/8 of an inch, drill out, drill in, and just do it repeatedly so the wood doesn't split. Make sure you sink your screws in a little, maybe like 1/8 inch into the wood, and just go back and use wood filler. If not, you're gonna see the screws on the outside. It'll look like shit, pretty much what I'm saying. This is actually the thing that they use to keep the door closed. It's actually super useful. To be honest, I actually kept one of these just in case I ever need it again. If not, they sell those. But Pretty much just make sure your door opens and shuts like it should. This one's gravy, baby. So we golden. I'm debating on whether or not I should even put shims on the top now. But like I always preach, don't half-ass your shit. Go ahead and put the shims on the top. Even though your sides lined up perfectly, I say still use a level and double check the top. Make sure that motherfucker's flush too. If not, your door's off. Looks like shit, you can tell. And typically, I don't take this out until I know for sure everything's opening and shutting correctly. I don't take this thing out, these things out, until I know everything's shutting correctly, opening and shutting correctly. Like a glove, baby. Anyways, that's pretty much how you frame a door. Put your trim back on the outside, the inside. If you need to cut more, cut more. Yeah, that's pretty much the bare essentials to framing a door. I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Leave your question below. I answer all questions. Yeah, put your doorknob on, inside, outside trim, and you're done. That's framing a door. Anyways, I'm out. Haven't put the doorknob on yet, but I put all the trim and everything back together, put the door back together, and just wanted to show a finished product, what it looked like, how easy it works, how easy framing a door actually is. Yeah, I just thought I'd show the finished product. Anyways, now for real, I'm out. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, leave a comment if you would. Helps out with the channel. Thanks.